It's probably just old age. That's why my joints creak every time I stand up. The doctor told me to cut back on red meat to reduce inflammation, but if I cut that out, what am I supposed to eat for strength? If you've ever uttered questions like these, then congratulations. You're not alone. Many older adults are grappling with the dilemma between the fear of arthritis, painful stiff knees, and the difficulty of changing decades-old eating habits. People often think if you're vegetarian, you'll lack protein and plant protein. It's all just vegetables. How can that be enough? But the reality is quite the opposite. There are plant proteins that are not only nutritionally complete, but have also been shown in studies to reduce inflammation, protect cartilage, and even help restore the muscles around joints. What's more important, they're not hard to find, don't require you to overhaul your entire diet, and can be cleverly incorporated into familiar American-style meals or flexibly adapted to a Mediterranean diet, which has been proven to be one of the healthiest lifestyles for people over 50. In this video, you'll discover what are the 3 most protein-rich plant foods scientifically recognized for their ability to support joints and reduce inflammation. Why are they effective? Based on real data, not just eating healthy is good. Practical ways to use each type, how much is enough, how to eat them without getting bored, and how to gently incorporate them into your weekly meals. We don't need to eliminate meat and fish entirely. But if you know about these safe, convenient, and valuable options, then joint health and daily stamina can absolutely be supported by the smallest changes. But why do joints become so prone to pain and inflammation after age 60, even if you're eating normally and moving every day? And why, even with medication, does persistent joint pain and stiffness linger? To understand the true value of plant proteins in supporting joints, we need to look at the biggest problems silently occurring within the body, not due to low protein intake, but due to prolonged low-grade inflammation and the natural weakening of joints over time. After age 60, something often happens that few pay enough attention to. Joints start to butch, complain. At first, it's just a slight stiffness in the morning, then comes knee fatigue after walking a bit too long. Gradually, it becomes a reluctance to stand up or sit down, and sometimes just turning over in bed can lead to a clicking sound in your knee or shoulder. This isn't because you're doing anything wrong, it's because joints, like all other body parts, also age over time. The cartilage thins, the joint fluid decreases, the surrounding muscles weaken, and most importantly, inflammation begins to silently accumulate. It's not acute inflammation with fever and redness, like from a scrape, but low-grade chronic inflammation, a mild but persistent form of inflammation that keeps the body in a state of minor alert. And it's this minor alert that slowly damages joints bit by bit, day after day. Experts call this phenomenon low-grade systemic inflammation. It's closely linked to modern lifestyles, diets high in saturated fats and refined sugars, low in fruits and vegetables, and of course, reduced physical activity due to age. Meanwhile, according to research, most joint pain after age 60 doesn't just come from worn-out cartilage, but also from widespread inflammatory reactions in the tissues around the joint, including muscles, ligaments, and the joint capsule. If muscles are weak, joints are more prone to injury. Many people think just taking calcium supplements or anti-inflammatory drugs is enough. But in reality, if the root cause of inflammation isn't addressed, taking medication is just like spraying coolant. It doesn't resolve the heat source right from within. And this is where diet plays a very clear role. A diet rich in vegetables, plant protein, fiber, and natural anti-inflammatory compounds can help the body reduce the production of pro-inflammatory mediators like TNF-alpha, IL-6, CRP, strengthen a healthy gut microbiome, which is linked to the immune system and inflammation, maintain muscles around joints, helping to reduce mechanical pressure on the joint bones. Among these, plant protein from certain foods offers particular benefits. It not only provides protein, but also comes with natural anti-inflammatory compounds like isoflavones, polyphenols, and saponins, things that meat and fish don't have. Not all plant proteins are the same, but there are 3 prominent types, which have been clearly studied for their effectiveness in supporting joints, reducing inflammation, and improving the quality of life for older adults. We'll explore each type, not just discussing the benefits, but also providing practical guidance on how to use them in daily meals, making it both simple and effective. Plant protein source number 1: soybeans, tofu, tempeh, soy milk. When it comes to a plant-based food that can support joints, help maintain muscle, and reduce inflammation after age 60, very few names can surpass soybeans. If you've ever worried that a vegetarian diet would lack protein, then soybeans are one of the foods that can help alleviate that concern. Despite being a very familiar food, found in everything from tofu dishes to a glass of soy milk every morning, soybeans are one of the few plant protein sources that contain all 9 essential amino acids the body needs to build and maintain muscle mass. And this, for older adults, is significant. After age 60, the body begins to gradually lose muscle mass, sometimes without realizing it, until you notice you're walking slower, having more difficulty standing up, or even a single climb up the stairs makes your knees ache more than before. Maintaining muscles around your joints not only helps you move more easily, it's also a natural way to reduce pressure on joint cartilage, preventing joint damage during daily activities. That's why quality protein from soybeans can act as a supportive cushion for your joints, not by adding medication but by nourishing your body from its roots. But what makes soybeans even more special lies in the accompanying small compounds, naturally occurring substances that have been thoroughly researched by science. These are a group of active compounds called isoflavones, notably genistein and didzane, known for their ability to help soothe chronic inflammation in the body. For people with arthritis, periarthritis, or simply frequent morning joint stiffness, inflammation doesn't always manifest dramatically with swelling and redness. In some cases, the inflammatory response is merely low-grade, but it persists for years, gradually weakening the tissues around the joints. And this is where isoflavones can be effective, not like anti-inflammatory drugs that numb pain, but like a gentle coordinator, helping the body regulate the immune system's overreactions, reducing unnecessary fire starting around the joints. A research synthesis published in 2021 examined the role of isoflavones from soybeans in various chronic inflammatory diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis. The results showed that when patients regularly supplemented with soybeans in food or peptide form, their inflammatory markers significantly decreased. In a small trial in Japan, researchers gave patients with arthritis 8 grams of soy peptides daily for 4 weeks. After that period, their pain, swelling, and joint stiffness improved to the extent that inflammatory assessment scores, a standard tool in rheumatology, also decreased accordingly. Notably, in some other trials, even when researchers isolated the protein from the isoflavones, meaning only the pure protein from soybeans was used, the anti-inflammatory and joint swelling reduction effects still appeared, at least in animal studies. This indicates that both components, the protein and the plant compounds, have their own value in protecting joint tissue and soothing inflammatory responses. In addition to isoflavones, soybeans also contain a small amount of good fats from the omega-3 plant group called ALA. While not as potent as EPA and DHA found in fatty fish, ALA still plays a certain role in stabilizing inflammatory responses. For those who don't eat fish regularly or have issues with fish oil, ALA from soybeans is a noteworthy alternative. However, one thing many people, especially older men, often wonder about is whether eating a lot of soybeans affects hormones. This question isn't new, and it has been debated for years. But currently, large and rigorous studies have shown that, with normal amounts of soybeans consumed in the diet, isoflavones do not alter male hormones, nor do they cause hormonal imbalances in older adults. On the contrary, they also help stabilize immune responses, especially for those with chronic inflammation. Many reports from international health organizations and reputable nutrition journals affirm that soybeans are safe when consumed regularly a few times a week and do not negatively affect hormones as many people mistakenly believe. If you're asking yourself, where can I start with soybeans without changing too much of my daily meals? Then the good news is, soybeans come in many familiar forms that are easy to cook, easy to combine, and perfectly suitable for older adults. One of the simplest ways is tofu. When choosing, you should look for types labeled calcium set, often indicated by CaSO4 on the packaging. This type is not only rich in protein, but also helps supplement calcium to protect strong bones. For each serving of about 100 to 150 grams, you can eat it 3 to 4 times a week, and it's very easy to prepare, steamed, lightly stir-fried with vegetables, or grilled and served with light soy sauce. All are delicious and easy to digest. If you've ever eaten soy and felt bloated or uncomfortable, then tempeh is an excellent choice. This is whole fermented soybeans, which are easier to digest while still retaining a high protein content. Slice it thinly, pan fry it with a little olive oil, then eat it with green vegetables, brown rice, or oatmeal, and you've got a meal that's both nutritious and easy on the stomach. And of course, unsweetened soy milk is also an indispensable option, especially if you don't tolerate cow's milk well. A glass of about 250 milliliters in the morning, served with whole grain cereal or added to oatmeal, is also very convenient. No need to be fancy, just replacing a regular glass of milk each day can create a small but greatly beneficial change. One important thing is, you don't need to use all 3 types at once. Just start with one of the 3. For example, adding 2 to 3 tofu meals per week, or replacing your morning milk with unsweetened soy milk, and maintain it consistently for 3 to 4 weeks. Many people have noticed their joints are less stiff in the morning and their muscles no longer feel utterly drained after grocery shopping or light housework. What about you? If you've tried soybeans before but stopped halfway, this might be the time to try again. The right way, the right dose, and more pleasantly. In a context where older adults need a diet that is gentle on the digestive system, supports bones and joints, and helps maintain muscle mass, soybeans are truly a worthwhile consideration. Just a little flexibility, replacing a portion of meat at dinner with a few pieces of tofu, swapping your breakfast milk for soy milk instead of cow's milk, or adding a grilled tempeh dish on the weekend. And you've done the most important thing, given your joints and your body a chance for sustainable recovery, without medication, without major changes, just consistently and correctly. From familiar foods like tofu or a glass of soy milk every morning, we've seen that soybeans are not only a good protein source, but also a silent companion in the journey to protect joints. However, soybeans aren't the only option. There's another food, not outstanding in flavor, not commonly seen in traditional American meals, but it silently holds a high position on the list of foods that can soothe inflammation from its root. What's special is, this food doesn't require complicated preparation, no overnight soaking, no complex side dishes. Just a small pot, a few simple ingredients, and a bit of consistent habit. You'll discover that lentils, a dish you might think only belongs in Mediterranean soup, can be incredibly beneficial for your bones and joints, especially as age begins to make every step feel heavier. When looking at small lentil beans, not many people think they possess such power to support joints and soothe inflammation. Without the eye-catching appearance of almonds or the big reputation of salmon, lentils are often overlooked in daily meals. Yet, in studies on anti-inflammatory diets for older adults, lentils consistently appear at the top as an essential component of the Mediterranean eating style, which has been proven beneficial for bones, joints, cardiovascular health, and overall well-being. The reason isn't a single factor. Lentils contain a combination of nutrients and natural compounds that interact with the body in a gentle, stabilizing way. In 100 grams of cooked lentils, equivalent to a small bowl of soup, there are up to 9 grams of plant protein, along with a significant amount of magnesium and potassium. Magnesium helps muscles relax, while potassium supports blood pressure regulation and keeps muscle contraction and relaxation stable. For older adults, where pain from muscle stiffness or joint fatigue can appear unexpectedly, this is very practical support. Besides vitamins and minerals, lentils are also rich in soluble fiber, a special type of fiber capable of regulating blood sugar and supporting gut health. This might not seem directly related to bones and joints, but in reality, a healthy digestive system is the foundation for a stable inflammatory response. When blood sugar fluctuates erratically, or the gut doesn't digest well, the body will produce subtle inflammatory signals affecting joints and connective tissues over time. Beyond nutritional theory, scientists have gone further by directly evaluating the impact of lentils in an inflammatory environment. A research review published in 2023 summarized data from various inflammatory models and concluded that lentils can reduce inflammatory markers such as CRP and IL-6, two indicators that are often elevated in people with arthritis or chronic joint problems. An observational study in Canada, following thousands of people for a long time, also showed that the group who ate at least 4 servings of legumes per week had CRP levels, a systemic inflammation marker, up to 22% lower compared to the group who ate less than 1 serving. Among the food groups surveyed, lentils accounted for nearly 1/3 of the legumes consumed, showing the important role of this food in a healthy diet. What's interesting is that, unlike some other beans that require long soaking or can cause bloating, lentils are very friendly to the digestive systems of older adults. No overnight soaking is needed. Just cooking for 20 to 25 minutes makes the beans soft, easy to digest, and ready to use. That's why lentil soup often appears in the meals of older adults in the Mediterranean region, where some of the world's highest rates of healthy longevity are found, especially in the evening. It's light on the stomach, nutritious, and helps with deeper sleep because the body doesn't have to work hard to process heavy foods. For older Americans, eating lentils might not be a common habit yet, but it's not difficult to start. Just adding a small bowl to lunch as soup or mixing it with tomatoes, olive oil, and a little turmeric into a light stew can create a nutritious, joint-supporting meal without needing expensive supplements. If you're in the process of reducing red meat or need to control blood pressure, lentils should be prioritized even more. They contain no cholesterol, very little sodium, and are rich in natural antioxidants like procyanidins and catechins, substances that have been shown to help reduce damage to joint tissues from prolonged inflammation. Compared to meat, lentils are not only easier to cook and store, but also much cheaper. Compared to other types of beans, they cause less gas, and compared to oral supplements, lentils provide a completely natural source of fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Eating lentils regularly, 2 to 3 times a week, which can replace white pasta, refined rice, or familiar grilled meat dishes, is a simple way to incorporate them into your life. You don't need to go fully vegetarian or give up your favorite foods. You just need to add them as a solid foundation to reduce pressure on your joints, soothe inflammation from within, and help your body maintain lasting flexibility over time. After a few weeks of adding lentils to their diet, many people realize that they not only enjoy their meals more, but also feel lighter. Meals no longer feel heavy, and that joint fatigue after an afternoon walk gradually lessens. But the journey of plant-based joint care doesn't stop there. Alongside lentils, there's another silent contender, round, nutty, and present from ancient Greece to modern hummus, chickpeas. Unassuming and unfussy, chickpeas contain a combination of valuable substances for joints, from protein and fiber to anti-inflammatory compounds that few would expect. What's more, despite being highly nutritious, chickpeas are surprisingly easy to eat, even for older adults accustomed to traditional dishes. If soybeans are a widely scientifically proven complete protein source, and lentils are a simple soup that subtly reduces inflammation from within, then chickpeas, also known as garbanzo beans, connect these two in a gentle and very friendly way. Found in famous Mediterranean dishes like hummus, bean salads, or falafel, chickpeas always seem to accompany meals full of vegetables, olive oil, and herbs. All things experts recommend older adults increase if they want to maintain strong joints and muscles over the years. Chickpeas are not merely a food that helps you feel full. In 100 grams of cooked chickpeas, about half a cup, there are 8 to 9 grams of protein, almost as much as a boiled egg. But unlike eggs or meat, chickpeas also carry about 8 grams of fiber, a significant amount. It's this combination of protein and fiber that gives this round bean its strength. It helps stabilize blood sugar, nourishes beneficial gut bacteria, and thereby reduces the mild inflammatory signals that often silently accumulate in older adults. Beyond that, chickpeas are particularly rich in magnesium, a mineral that helps muscles and nerves function smoothly, and zinc and folate, micronutrients closely linked to cell repair and in soothing localized inflammatory responses. Once these micronutrients are sufficiently supplemented, the body will be in a better position to fight against the small, repetitive damages in joint tissues, which are the root cause of chronic arthritis, persistent joint stiffness, and age-related decline in motor function. Even more importantly, the thin skin of the chickpea, which many often discard, is where many valuable plant compounds like quercetin, camphorol, and saponins are found. These are natural antioxidants and anti-inflammatory substances likened to biological filters that help joint cells avoid premature aging due to prolonged oxidative stress. It's no coincidence that researchers have extracted from this very skin to test on inflammatory models, and the results are very encouraging. Chickpea skin extract strongly inhibited inflammation-related factors like NO, TNF-alpha, and IL-6, all of which are main culprits causing pain and swelling in older adults. Another notable study published in 2019 tested a diet containing 20% chickpeas on an arthritis mouse model. The results showed a significant reduction in foot swelling and pain, and especially inflammatory substances like IL-1 beta also decreased to levels comparable to the group using anti-inflammatory drugs. Of course, this was an animal study, but it still clearly shows the natural anti-inflammatory potential of chickpeas, something not all foods are specifically proven to do. What about in humans? Yes. A survey conducted on a group of rheumatoid arthritis patients following a chickpea-rich vegan diet lasting 4 months also recorded significant improvements. Inflammatory markers in the blood decreased, and the feeling of pain and morning joint stiffness also subsided. Of course, this result occurred in the context of an overall dietary change, but chickpeas played a key role as a primary source of protein and fiber, helping to gently replace meat and dairy while still providing complete nutrients. For older adults in the US, incorporating chickpeas into their actual diet isn't complicated. If you've ever seen hummus, the smooth, creamy dip often served with raw vegetables, that's pureed chickpeas with olive oil, lemon juice, and garlic. It's delicious, convenient, and easy to store. Just 3 tablespoons of hummus daily, equivalent to half a cup of cooked chickpeas, is enough to provide a significant amount of protein, fiber, and anti-inflammatory compounds. Additionally, canned chickpeas are very common in supermarkets. You just need to rinse them thoroughly to remove excess salt. Then they can be stewed with tomatoes, made into soup, mixed into salads, or even roasted until crispy with turmeric and olive oil for a joint-friendly snack. For those who like light snacks, roasted chickpeas are worth trying. They're flavorful, keep you full longer, and don't raise blood sugar like typical snacks. What makes chickpeas stand out is not just their nutrients, but also their accessibility. Unlike fussy nuts that need overnight soaking or long cooking, chickpeas just need to be cooked until soft and they're ready to use. Their flavor is nutty, mild, not overpowering, suitable for the palate of older adults. And unlike some other beans that can cause bloating, chickpeas, thanks to their thin skin and simple structure, are easier to digest, produce less gas, and are easy to incorporate into daily meals. Compared to red meat, which is rich in protein but comes with saturated fat and increases the risk of chronic inflammation, chickpeas are a healthier, gentler, and more balanced option. Compared to traditional dried beans like kidney beans, white beans, or black beans, chickpeas contain more zinc and folate and also cause less digestive discomfort. And if compared to animal milk or cheese, which are high in sodium and fat, chickpeas offer the same amount of protein but also come with fiber and anti-inflammatory compounds that milk doesn't have. Just like tofu or lentils, chickpeas are not a cure. But when incorporated correctly and consistently into the diet, 2 to 4 times a week, their cumulative benefits will begin to appear. Not as obvious as an immediate medication dose, but subtly, like how joints hurt less in the morning, or legs feel less tired after standing long to wash dishes. That's the effect of gentle patient care, stemming from what we eat every day. In a noisy world of food, chickpeas are like a food that needs no advertising, but powerful enough to bring about real change if we give them a chance to be on our table. And just adding a spoonful of hummus, half a cup of stewed beans, or a small handful of crispy roasted chickpeas is already a small step towards supporting joints and the body in the most natural way. Three types of plant protein, from soybeans to lentils and chickpeas, each bring their own unique role and way of supporting joints. You don't have to choose just one, nor do you need to completely overhaul your entire diet. By understanding them correctly and using them consistently and in moderation, your body can begin to repair the minor damage that accumulates over the years. However, like any dietary change, to truly be effective and safe for everyone, especially those with existing medical conditions, on medication, or with sensitive digestive systems, there are a few small points to keep in mind. These aren't overly complicated, but they can make the process of caring for your joints with plant-based foods much smoother and more effective. Any dietary change, no matter how beneficial, needs time for your body to adjust. While younger individuals might adapt easily in just a few days, for older adults, every adjustment, no matter how small, should be introduced gradually and with careful observation. Legumes like soybeans, lentils, or chickpeas are highly nutritious. However, if introduced too suddenly, especially for those unaccustomed to eating beans, they can sometimes cause mild discomfort like bloating, abdominal distension, or mild diarrhea. This isn't because the food is bad, but simply because the digestive system hasn't had time to adapt to the specific fiber and carbohydrates in legumes, which are often lacking in traditional Western diets. The solution is very simple. When you're first starting, just use a small amount, for example, half a serving, and see how you feel after eating. If it's comfortable, you can gradually increase the amount in the following days. Additionally, soaking dried beans before cooking, or choosing pre-cooked canned beans and rinsing them thoroughly with clean water, can significantly reduce the amount of gas-producing substances in the intestines. If you're taking medication, especially anti-inflammatory drugs, immunosuppressants, or anticoagulants, you should talk to your doctor before significantly changing to a high-fiber diet or increasing your legume intake. Some plant foods, when consumed in excessive amounts, can slightly affect drug absorption or alter digestive rhythm, especially in individuals who already have digestive issues such as irritable bowel syndrome or a history of prolonged bloating. It's also important to emphasize that foods like soybeans, lentils, and chickpeas cannot replace medications for treating arthritis. If you're using prescription drugs like NSAIDs or corticosteroids to control pain, food should only be a supplement, not a complete replacement. However, when combined correctly, healthy eating, suitable food choices, and regular gentle exercise, you might be able to reduce your long-term dependence on medication. There are also some specific cases where extra caution is needed. For example, people with chronic kidney disease need to limit their protein and potassium intake, and these are two components found in abundance in legumes. These individuals don't necessarily have to completely avoid them, but they should carefully calculate their specific intake or opt for pre-processed forms of legumes like peeled ones or those managed through appropriate nutritional protocols. For people with diabetes, legumes like chickpeas and lentils can help stabilize blood sugar thanks to their low glycemic index and high fiber content. However, it's still necessary to monitor the accompanying carbohydrate intake because eating too much in one meal, especially when combined with rice or bread, can also lead to a slight rise in blood sugar. Dividing portions, eating them with green vegetables, and good fats like olive oil will help your body absorb more slowly and maintain sustained energy. Finally, if you've heard older warnings about soybeans affecting hormones, as mentioned earlier, that doesn't happen with normal consumption. Major health organizations, including the Mayo Clinic and the American Society for Nutrition, confirm that soybeans are safe for both men and women, including older adults, when consumed in moderate portions 2 to 4 times per week. Caring for your body after age 60 isn't just about choosing good food, it's also about knowing when to be gentle and when to listen to your own body's feedback. Sometimes, simple adjustments like taking one less spoonful, eating a few minutes slower, or postponing a new dish until tomorrow are enough to turn a nutritious food into a comfortable one. After exploring each type of food, from soybeans to lentils and chickpeas, you've probably realized one thing: these aren't exotic or unfamiliar dishes. On the contrary, they're very accessible, easy to find, and simple to prepare. But the value they bring is far from small, especially for knees that have started to creak, hands that are sometimes difficult to straighten in the morning, or the feeling of leg fatigue after just an afternoon of grocery shopping. Soybeans, with all the essential proteins, along with plant compounds that help soothe inflammatory responses. Lentils, easy on the stomach, rich in fiber and minerals, supporting both gut health and the immune system. And chickpeas, both flavorful and protein-rich, containing special antioxidants that are particularly good for joint tissues weakening over time. None of these are magic remedies, but each, if incorporated correctly, can become part of your body's natural recovery mechanism. They don't need to replace main meals, don't require completely eliminating meat and fish, and don't force you to go vegetarian. Just adding a cup of lentils instead of white pasta once a week, a dinner with tofu instead of beef, or a spoonful of hummus alongside your usual salad, is already starting to give your body an extra chance. A chance for joints to be less inflamed, muscles to be retained, blood sugar to be more stable, and energy to last longer throughout the day. And the most important thing is, these changes don't come from afar, but from right within your own kitchen, where a slightly different choice, a slower pace of life, and a gentle belief in natural change can create the most sustainable difference. Ultimately, if there's one image to describe the three foods we've just explored together, perhaps they are like three small pebbles resting quietly at the bottom of a lake, unobtrusive, creating no waves, but it's that very stillness that helps keep the surface clear, keeping the lake undisturbed. Health after age 60 is similar. It doesn't always require big changes, powerful methods, or deep intervening medications. Sometimes what the body needs most are just a few small things, regular enough, patient enough, and gentle enough not to cause any further harm. Caring for your joints and keeping your body flexible isn't about returning to your younger self, but about living more comfortably and confidently with what you still have, to be able to stand up without hesitation, to walk without needing anyone's support, and to feel that you still control every movement in the most natural and sustainable way. If you've ever tried one of these three foods, tofu, lentils, or chickpeas, or if you've ever wondered why such simple foods are mentioned so much, please share your experience below. Every story, every perspective can help someone else looking for a gentler solution. And if you found this content helpful, don't hesitate to subscribe to explore more ways to support your body naturally, still backed by scientific evidence, easy to understand, and easy for you to apply. We'll be back with more topics, but right now I hope that you'll look at the beans in your kitchen with a different perspective. Because perhaps from those small things, a less painful knee, a deeper sleep, or a morning with less muscle stiffness is quietly beginning.